Howdy, everybody, and welcome to round 6 here in Indianapolis of the BSR MX5 Monday Cup. I am Austin. I am joined by Marco Barbonera, and we are certainly very excited here at the greatest racetrack in the world, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Moto Configuration.
Yes, hello everyone, hello Austin, so happy to be here, and certainly for these drivers, a nice challenge tonight. Usually for road course drivers, car drivers especially, they are used to have, the other, the reverse and slightly different layout that was famous or infamous in the F1 days. But tonight we are racing in the motorcycle version that we have seen in the past few years in MotoGP, which is, of course, in the other direction and a little bit different in some key areas, but a staple of the MX5 BSR calendar in the past few years. So some of these drivers will be very used to it, but some of these amateurs will not. And as per usual, we have 3 very exciting races to bring you tonight. Nice cloudy weather to start the proceedings, no wind at all, or very low track temperature, so perfect conditions. But of course, a track that is very, very prone to chaos, and I think we will see, some shenanigans certainly tonight, but also some great racing.
Definitely going to be some great racing. Going to expect a lot of drag races to the finish line, like we've seen in past BSR type races coming out of that final turn and down that front straight. We might, if the race is close enough, we might have a few drag races going on and a lot of spin outs, especially in sector 1 at that super tight hairpin coming into the banked oval before they fly onto and into the infield, which is the different part than the Indianapolis Indy road course that everyone else is used to. As we're looking at a few people just finishing up their laps right now of this tight and twisty, still massive track of Indianapolis.
Absolutely, and we see Fury Racing Sport right now 1 and 2 with Ben Sharp and Edward May. Giacoletti is in third. We've got the other 2 Fury Racing Sport guys, Sebula and Banks, coming home. Let's see if they are going to improve. These laps will count. Here comes Banks, and he doesn't improve, and neither does Sebula, so they will stick to 5th and 4th respectively. And I think all the other drivers are more or less already done, got a checker flag, so yeah, we are ready, and it's going to be a rolling start in all 3 races. We're going to have reverse grids, random reverse grids, might I add, in race 2 and race 3. And you can see, this track being very wide in some points, it is certainly that one of the reasons why I think we can expect a lot of, argy-bargy and side-by-side contact, something that this car doesn't like a lot, especially with the wheels. You could really break a suspension or something like that, or get turned around even worse. As you can see already, like we were talking about it before the broadcast, those cones are in for a tough night.
Hashtag cones lives matter. Gonna see that in chat. Get that trending. Save those cones. Come on, guys. Stay on track limits. As Kellyman crosses the yard of bricks and then parks up. We still have a few drivers out. I believe Andy Maxwell is the last one on, and he is in road course turn 3. But since this is the moto layout, he is in the second to last turn. That long left-hander coming into a tighter right-hander before letting it out. All on the gas, going a bit up on a bit of baking and coming down this long front straight and into the pit lane he goes. We shouldn't expect anyone to actually make a pit stop, so I believe Andy Maxwell is just doing that for his own good before he retires. But a sure interesting race is coming up for y'all as our grid is coming up right now. Ben Sharp starts on pole, followed by Edward May to the All Fury Sinsport Academy front row. Expect these two to take it very, very competitively into turn 1. and try to hold out for the rest of the race. They're followed by Charles Jacqueline, Yaroslav Sebula, Jez Banks, Mikey Key, Scott Malcolm, David Ears, 80 Maxwell, Mick Berry, Harry Rutland, Charles Kellyman, Phil Regan, Dale Bennison, Mark Westwood, John Moore, Ryan G. Walker, Max Boré, Christian Brown, Wouter van Assen, Alan Toon, Brian Holmes, Ashley Beard, Jack Ashton, and Anthony Jacobson. Coming up at the rear. Interesting to note, last 4 drivers have not set a lap time.
Oh, we're starting standing start apparently. So, surprise, surprise. Wasn't expecting this. Let's see how,
the
how
Moto
this
layout
goes.
uses the Moto standing starts as the Grand Prix layout goes with the rolling starts with the Indy cars. But I believe these guys are just as stunned as we are, because on the counter it said rolling start, right?
Yes, but you know, there has been some discussion, I think, in the groups. So maybe that was the reason of the change.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn because it's about to get popping here in Indianapolis. 30 seconds till the lights come on and the cars start revving up, and we're about to go green at the Brickyard.
Should have the new graphics, hopefully, if I made them work correctly, which is, like I said earlier, a big if. Let's see how this goes, because we should have some nice, bright green lights now that we are ready to start.
All right, we might see some jostling in the back positions as we hit 2 minutes, and we are getting ready to go green. The lights are coming on. All the pros missing the start. The green lights flash. We got 5 green lights, and it's time to go racing here at the Brickyard.
Yeah, but they would have been more appropriate for a rolling start, you know, turning green at the drop of the flag. But you know, nice that they worked.
Yeah, great working right there. And Ben Sharp gets a great start. Evan Mate has actually had a little bit down on power off the line, and a Jacqueline almost gets into the back end of it. And look in the background, that is a Sebula moving up a few positions as they enter the Moto hairpin, which should be the pure cause of chaos right there. But looks like all the leaders have made it through. Jez Banks making up a position as from the start, but Alan Toon moves up 4 positions from the start, but I believe those were from pros that started in the pits.
Exactly. Walker, Boire, Brown, and Fouter Van Essen, they all started from the pits. The other 3 pros, Holmes, Beard, and Ashton, did not take the start. They jumped in for practice for tomorrow. Apparently, Anthony Jacobson, also an amateur driver, did not start. So in the end, Edward May was able to keep pole position. To keep second place. Jacolet trying to get past him. Banks passed Sebula. And you know, that was the only change of position in the top 5 as we head back, I think, into the final part of the lap. Maybe this camera gives us a bit of a better idea how wide this particular portion of the track is, as Mikey Key is, as Sebula is getting closer and closer to his teammate Jez Banks. Their teammates, despite having different liveries, is running the classic old school silver and black Fury Sim Sport Academy livery.
He's going for that nostalgia vibe as they go and murder some cones into the wall. Hopefully they get put. Oh, Sebula's in the wall. Sebula is going down. No, wait, that was Key's actually in the wall hard as well. Key Berry falling down, but Key's
someone stopped.
A lot of positions.
Mikey Key stopped.
That is,
trying to get
I heard
back
a car
to
go smack to the wall. I think Sebula and Key got into each other because they were close by, and they had a little bit of contact going to the wall. We might need to see what exactly happened to there. This is Mikey Key. There is Sebula ahead of him. So, well, that was a full-on cut the course, and
that was a big hit. You know, a classic kind, I think, of mistake that you do while following another car that makes a mistake, you know. And Mikey Key, good for him, he was able to jump straight into the pits, get a fast repair, and get out. So he is now down in P20, I think, but he should not get 2 or more laps down, because that is where you don't get championship points, don't get you are not eligible for the reverse grid, as the top 3 are trying to pull away. Banks keeping the distance, and that crash, of course, created a little bit of a fracture. Now Scott Malcolm is in 5th, but a little way behind the rest of the leading pack.
Yeah, the leading group of 4, Sharp, May, Jacqueline, and Banks are all leading ahead as they're 2 by 2, trying to cover some ground and just keep it safe and hopefully hope for some chaos at the start, as all the Fury guys seem to be doing the best follow the leader impression that they can. They got Jacqueline of Year 1 Racing wanting to make up a few grounds, but he's sitting there in 3rd. The podium position is always good here, as that is completely off the track by Ben.
Did
And
he
I
hit the
think
wall?
he's gonna have
A slowdown. He had a slowdown. Oh,
Yeah,
this is dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yeah, we saw his teammate actually try to draft him when he was going there, but I think he communicated over voice that he has a slowdown penalty, and that's why he went to the very bottom of the track. Now May and Jacqueline side by side, almost side by side, as they're heading into the turn 1. Coming up into turn 2, we might see a move for the lead right here to the tight 90-degree hander. Here comes Jacqueline up the inside. May goes off the track. Here comes Banks going to go for 2nd place as they head into the Moto hairpin. Now May and Banks still side by side, but Edward May regains 2nd place from their teammate of Jez Banks. And Jacqueline is loving what he's seeing in his rearview mirror. These two teammates battling each other.
Scott Malcolm with a big issue from 5th down to 10th and even lower, as Sebula is now under pressure from David Ayers. But what a move that was from Carl Jacqueline. And we were talking about those cones getting not a very good night, but they can get revenge on the drivers, because you get a very hefty slowdown if you cut through there, and of course in the fastest part of the circuit, the front stretch. So a slowdown there is certainly not something you want, but as we can see maybe from the chopper view, how easy it is to cut the corner, because you don't have a lot of reference points, I think, there, Austin. So it's really
your reference points, basically.
Yeah, but the drivers, every driver hates cones, so you are, you want to aim for them, and destroy them.
Some say they have hidden nitro boost, but we obviously haven't been able to prove them that. But Carl Jacqueline, a proven murderer of cones. Let's see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually murders all of them. Gets a clean sweep of them. And he's got a hefty lead, but he's going to suffer from that draft that May and Banks are going to have on him. And try to close down on that front straight. But Carl Jacqueline absolutely flying down the front straight and across the yard of bricks as they head into another lap. And yeah, he's actually going faster than May and Banks that lap, so maybe there is nitro boost hidden under them.
So you can kill them, but if you kill them too much, if you cut too much on the inside, to be more precise, you get a slowdown, because Jacqueline made a clear. And of course, you have to know, you have to also realize that if the driver in front of you kills the cones, then you don't have the reference point anymore, and it's very easy.
With May.
Yeah, to pick up the slowdown, so gotta be super careful there, as the two Fury
Mikey Key.
Mikey Key is out from the pits, I think, but I think also he
did it again.
Let's see, trying to get the replay.
Well, Mikey Key was caught in that incident at the start of the race when he was behind Sebula and he went straight into the wall. That's what I was going for. The cones were all over the place. He needs to cut the corner. And, he went off track right there. But he killed that corner and went straight into the wall, and that caused massive damage, and he went into the pits already. And that's why he's down there.
So, safe to say that the top 3, Austin, have pulled away from Ben Sharp, who is... he's not that far away, but in terms of a 50-minute race already halfway through, he really needs some battling in front to get back to the lead pack. Halfway through the race, so seems like the win, unless anything crazy happens, should be.
Which something usually does, as they're going to murder all the cones, but all they are is just flying in a straight line, trying to maximize that draft. We might see Edward Mage try to make a move on Carl Jacqueline sometime this lap. They're moving down to the inside. Edward Mage using some Indianapolis patent tactics right here, and he's going to make the move. He's going to set up for the outside line, set up for the 90-degree right-hander going into the infield. So they're side by side. Riding on that curb is Carl Jacqueline. Edward May around the outside. Coming into the 90-degree hander. Edward May actually side slams. Coming into Jacqueline, but Jacqueline gives him movement. Oh,
Oh!
no!
He saved it.
Oh,
He saved it. I don't know how his car will feel, but good save there. Some really extreme argy-bargy between these drivers, and that is what we were going to expect, you know, Austin, because of we talked about it earlier.
it
The
is.
way the track is shaped, you know, so wide, you can really have, you know, space for dive bombs.
It's wide except for right there. The moto hairpin is such a awkward piece of track that you can make an inside move right there, but you're going to set yourself up for complete disaster if you're going up the inside heading into that hairpin, because that was a utter just disaster for May right there, as Jacqueline is just ahead of Banks. Banks looking up that inside of that curve, but I believe Banks is just going to keep their nose right buried into Jacquelette's front bumper. Speaking of this side of the track, I like to call it the right field of the infield section. We got the left field and we got the right field. The right field is the very fast corners. The left field is the very awkward, tight stuff. This section actually features a go-kart race on July 4th weekend called the Battle at the Brickyard. Very good go-kart race if you guys are into go-karting, as we got May and Banks, two teammates racing with each other, almost coming into contact with each other, that it looks like. But May jumping out of the slipstream, he does not want to be right there. And that's going to set up Banks to actually pull away from him, as we're seeing Banks actually do that. Banks now going for the inside line, but May's actually going to the inside line. And there's utter confusion with the two Fury guys, that they didn't know where Carl Jacqueline was going. It looks like May's car is looking extremely squirrely right there, but May making the move up on the inside. Banks holding around, and May doesn't know where his braking points are, because he's braking at such weird angles right there compared to his teammates. A little bit of spinning of the wheels from Jess Banks right there as they come out of the moto hairpin and enter the infield.
Wow, fantastic racing today. Remember, we have two more races after this, and you know, still 4 minutes and change in this one, as Sharp, I think, has officially joined this party. So it's a year one car followed by 3 Fury Sim Sport Academy machines, and Sebula has jumped back to P5 after dropping down earlier in the race, using all of the track and then some of the grass. And look at those spectators very dangerously, you know, close to the racetrack. And let me tell you something, you know, as a marshal myself, I want to really, you know, big thumbs up to the brave marshals that every lap go back and put the cones back in their place. It's a very dangerous job.
Well, thank goodness these are digital marshals. They're much faster than us humans. We have a unfortunate retirement right now. Apparently somebody's machine has crashed on them. I'm not sure which one that is, but they just alerted me. Oh! Car off. That is, May is off, and now up the inside, Ben Sharp and Jess Banks going to get the position on Edward May, and that's right before the very final corner as the cones go flying for, I think we got two to three more laps left here in Indianapolis, but Carl Jacqueline of Year One Racing is absolutely pulling away from the Fury Spin Sport Academy drivers that's been having mistake after mistake after mistake with each other, and they're battling with each other. They need to work as a team to catch up to Jacqueline to even attempt to make an overfang. And oh my goodness, Jess Banks carrying so much speed through turn one. I thought they were going to lose control right there. I heard tires squeal and that car was drifting around, but they've actually closed up Carl Jacqueline going into turn one.
Okay, officially a 4-way fight for the win then, and now with the slipstream, and you know, the way you can really dive inside your opponent is anyone's guess who is going to win race one. Of course, the Fury Sim Sport drivers have the number advantage, but they seem to have no kind of team orders. They are going all out, and this might be Carl Jacquelette's saving grace. As you can see, half a second, which is, you know, really nothing in these cars, as they head for the backstretch once again, and moving on the right side, preparing for the braking zone. Let's go to the chopper so we can have a better idea. of the different braking areas. Look at that, and May now going very deep, you can see. But
Sharp actually taking a very different line than May did, and I believe that confused May, and May coming very on the back foot of there. But Carl Jacqueline, much more consistent than Banks and Sharp. Sharp just having to deal with some personal driving tactics than Banks is, and I believe that's just coming off on the back foot on Sharp's end, and Banks is maybe a bit of mere driving, knowing on how Ben Sharp drives. Now, once again, down the front straight, the slipstream battle of the Fury guys. Going to give him a little bit of speed boost to Carl Jacqueline. 6/10 separates him, but I believe Ben Sharp is going to be the one chasing down for second place now.
White flag as Jacqueline is weaving like crazy on the front stretch, trying to break the draft. One more lap in this first race of the evening. Sure?
Yeah.
I'm quite not sure because it's 40 minutes on the clock, and you know they are lapping in the 1:56, so I guess this is the last lap.
We'll see. But how lap 8 as they're coming out of the motor hairpin, as Carl Jacqueline leading authoritatively. Edward May of the Fury Sisport guys falling back for this absolutely blistering pace of these guys up front are setting. Oh, that's a cut track by Jess Banks. No slowdown though, but Banks trying to find anything through the moto back chicane. It's different than the chicane there right now. It's a tighter chicane, 90 degree, but it looks like Banks has got a run on Jacqueline, sitting in the slipstream, coming up in to that left-hander of the right infield, and Jess Banks actually going to set it up there side by side up on the inside. A little bit of tap of both cars, and that's going to slow him down, and now Ben Sharp is battling with them. As these three are all out racing with each other. So close, but Carl Jacqueline has this now. If this is the last lap, Jess Banks has to get as close as possible and set up for the yard of bricks. And it all has to do with that final corner. Carry as much momentum as it is. Carl Jacqueline leads by 3/10. Here comes Jess Banks. Murdering a few goes a little bit too wide. Almost comes in contact with the wall. And Ben Sharp actually going to race with Jess Banks in a drag race for second. They're all coming down the yard of bricks, but it's going to be Carl Jacqueline coming across in first. As, ooh, looks like Ben Sharp had another slowdown penalty right at the end.
So, by the way, our colleague Ryan Walker is going to win the pro race. Let's see. Look at this train of cars. Boré, Brown, Bennison as they are coming home.
Boré and Westwood, a little bit of drag race. There might be a pro driver courtesy. I'm going to let you have P10 right here. But Westwood weaving across the track, almost getting a little bit of argy-bargy. They finished almost side by side. 2 thousandths of a second separates those two. As Rutland and Moore dancing on the front straight, coming up to the yard of bricks. But winner of race 1 is going to be Carl Jacqueline by a dominating 1 second after a very confusing last lap by
Mikey Key.
Once again in the wall.
Yeah, he's you know that can be especially if your car is a little bit more understeery than maybe you would like. It's such an easy corner to get wrong, and hopefully between race 1 and race 2, Mikey will have the chance to do some tweaks in his setup in order to have a better understanding, and hopefully go and have an easier run through that corner. But before that, should have the official race results, as someone is taking the oval, I think, for race 1.
Taking the win is Carl Jacqueline, followed by Jess Banks, Edward May, Ben Sharp, Yaroslav Sebula, Andy Maxwell, David Ayers, Carl Kellyman, Ryan Walker taking the pro win, Mark Westwood, Max Boré, Christian Brown, Dale Bennison, Wilton Van Essen, Mick Berry, Scott Malcolm, John Moore, and Harry Rutland. He's followed by Alan 2, Mikey Key, who had that unfortunate incident at the start of the race and just struggling for his car, but he finishes on the lead lap. 2 laps down, and all the other laps cars is Phil Regan, and the cars that didn't start the race for 22 to 25, I believe they just came in for quality practice and headed out, right?
Exactly, Brennan will actually be Jack Ashton, Anthony Jacobson, but we know we might see Anthony maybe in race 2. So we have 20 cars eligible for the reverse grid. Mikey Key in the end was able to finish on the lead lap, so good
It's a
for
very
him.
long lap here, so
Yeah, good for him.
almost 2 minutes.
So reverse grid time then, and it should be on your screen right now.
So
Hopefully.
let's spin that wheel.
Exactly. Just a quick reminder of the rules. As per usual, each number corresponds to the number of cars that will be reversed in the grid. -1 will be the full eligible grid -1. -2, -3, -4 will be a full reverse. Let's roll it. We got a small one. It's going to be 8. So 8 cars will be reversed for race 2, which means the pole sitter will be Charles Kellyman in front of David Ayres, Andy Maxwell, Jaroslav Sebula, and Ben Sharp. This will be your top 5. So for these quick guys at the front, Austin, a very good chance at backing some more very useful points for the season.
Yeah, the points are going to be all in their favor as we take a little bit of break out of race 1 and get ready for race 2 here at the Brickyard of Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Howdy, 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 everybody, and we are back for the BSR MX5 Money Cup for Race 2 here at the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Moto layout. And after the grid was spun, Charles Kellyman starts on pole, followed by David Ayers, Andy Maxwell, Yaroslav Sebula, Ben Sharp, Edward May, Jez Banks, Carl Jacqueline, Ryan G. Walker, Mark Westwood, Max Boré, Christian Brown, Dale Bennison, Wouter von Essen, Mick Berry, Scott Malcolm, John Moore, Harry Rutland, Alan Tu, Mikey Key, and Phil Regan starting off in the back. 21 cars are stopped side by side on the Indianapolis grid right in front of the yard of bricks, and we got 1 minute until, well, we actually just got a few more seconds as I'm cut off right there as the cars are revving
Rolling
up.
start, rolling start.
Oh, it's a rolling start this time. Well, fine. First time it was starting start, then let's have a rolling start, because, you know, memes. Welcome to BSR MX5 Cup, where nothing's consistent.
That's what makes it even more entertaining, in my opinion, as Edward May is starting from the pits, so surprise. he would have started 6th, finished in third place in race 1. So uh, we are going to put the new green lights to good use this time around, you know. So good that we have the rolling start. By the way, just a quick look at the weather for this second race of the day, and as you can see, we switched to a evening kind of setting. It's a 7:45 more or less. 18 degrees the air temperature, 19 degrees the track temperature, and as you can see, it's cloudy weather for us. So will we get a night race in race 3? That would be very interesting.
We saw a night race at Silverstone last time, and if this trend keeps up, I would be 100% okay with a night race here in Indianapolis. Even though the track doesn't really have lights around it. But everyone lining up in the long mid-straight that's actually used as a massive, a kind of a road during the Indianapolis 500. You can drive on that road in there. Cuts down traffic a lot, actually. Trust me, I've driven on it. They go back onto the F1 right side of the infield, the more high-speed sections. Everyone's going side by side. They're still behind that Porsche safety car of the old section coming into the modern section. That section doesn't really exist anymore. The Indy cars don't drive on it.
Look at those die-hard fans that are sitting in the in the oval section, despite the cars not actually going there. That's a big commitment from those fans.
Well, those fans are now standing on the Porsche safety car coming into the pits. Charles Kellyman's leading him out as the lights are about to come on, and we're about to go racing. Charles Kellyman is starting into a massive 4-line start, and we're going racing for race 2 here in Indianapolis at the Brickyard.
Look at those beauties, those green lights, as the cars are heading into the first corner with Kellyman keeping the lead. Sebula going for second place, going a bit wide, and now there will be the big dive bomb on the inside, and some very close racing also behind them between Maxwell, Jacolette, and Sharp.
We saw Sebula do this last race, get a great start coming into the very starting sections. They're still side by side coming out of the moto hairpin. Sebula is going to take the wider line, going around the outside of David Ayres, going to cut right into his inside, going to stay onto the outside, riding on those curves. David Ayres keeping his wits about them, just keeping a safe chart, but he's going to actually have the advantage, gets a little bit of a boost of speed on that apex, but Sebula now has the apex going into the old chicane, and is going to get ahead of Ayres right there, and David Ayres actually gets into Carl Jacolette. Carl Jacolette tried to sneak up on the inside of David Ayres, and there was a little bit of contact between the two cars.
Andy Maxwell is also losing many positions, as you can see, as they are on the backstretch right now. Careful there, 3 wide, that's not going to work. Here goes Mark Westwood, and masterful job, I'd say, by everyone to avoid him more or less, as Maxwell is really struggling. I think his steering might be bent or something, because he's dropping several positions. No, yeah, you're right.
It's just has to mess up front wood. That's just to mess up front. As there's a massive pack being led out by Scott Malcolm in there, and it says he's picked up 10 positions.
Scott, very consistent, unlucky in race 1. Back to the front, Kellyman with a nice lead. Of course, this is a lap certain race. We are going to have 8 laps. The first one is in the books, so we start the second.
Yeah. First lap has been put into the records. Kellyman leads by a entire second ahead of Sebula, Ayres, Jacolette, Sharp, with Scott Malcolm leading out the second pack. So we technically got 2 packs of 1 leader. This is reminding me of the Tour de France right now. We got 1 breakaway at the start.
Yeah, the peloton is trying to follow I'm a big fan of cycling.
And it looks like Sebula is actually going to try to break away from the peloton and join that leading group. I'm gonna start using car terms now because I don't want to get caught up in this. Because I'm also a big fan of cycling. But looking at this massive group, Scott Malcolm and Jess Banks racing and battling it out for P6 right now. Jess Banks trying to move up through positions, actually starting the set, still in 7th right there. Just been keeping their positions, but they're sitting in the slipstream. Scott Malcolm, they might try and move up on the inside. We saw how disastrous that worked in lap 1 with one of the other cars right there. I forgot his name. Edward May, was it?
I think so, yeah. Ooh. Hello.
Ooh. Hello. That's a monster front bumper.
Oh.
Looking back from Sebula right there on that battle. This is David Ayres and Carl Jacquelet coming up into the right infield section. They cut that corner so tight right there. We saw Ben Sharp taking that slowdown penalty. I think twice he had one in that opening race by cutting that corner and murdering a few cones right there. Looking back at Carl Jacquelet. Carl Jacquelet sending up on the inside of Ayres. Well, looking down the inside, selling a dummy really. As Kellyman and Sebula battle for the lead. Sebula very ambitious up on that inside line going into the Moto hairpin.
I mean, these top 5 are really putting on a show. As I think Mikey Key has got some issues, or no, sorry, he doesn't. Apologies to Mikey. So, top 2, little bit of separation, but the following 3 cars are so close. You can see Jacquelet is really fancying his chances.
Carl singing it onto the apex, but David Ayres now has the apex of the tight 90-degree right-hander, but he's going to fall victim to the longer left-hander, which is perfect in Jacquelet's mind. As we got a little bit of morphing powers going on with the Mazdas now. David Ayres going to be on the offensive down this long back straight with that slipstream, but look out for Ben Sharp. He might try something, and there goes Ben Sharp. Ludicrous dive down the inside, car twitching under braking. We saw David Ayres actually give him room to avoid any contact, and we see how far Ben Sharp trying to recover from that car. A little bit of a tank slapper under braking that car. He absolutely tried to go for it as Sebula is dancing on the bumper of Kellyman. Kellyman actually recovering from a little bit of wobble right there, and that's going to give Sebula all the room that he needs. He's going up the inside, and they're side by side coming out of the final quarter. 1 cone's murdered, 2 cones murdered, and we got a drag race going down the front straight here at Indianapolis.
Going to be very close. All the top 5 cars are so close to each other. Here we go, and here comes Jacquelet.
Where did Jacquelet come from? Kellyman and Sebula. Sebula's car in the box. He had the overspeed, but he's caught in the box. He can't make the move. And now Carl Jacquelet once again in the lead. Sebula in the grass. Kellyman keeping P2 right there. Sebula's going to try to go around the outside, but unable. He's being blocked by Kellyman, and Jacquelet used that battle for the lead between the two to go from 3rd all the way up into 1st. And now we have a 5-car battle for the lead. Great racing, great moves by Carl Jacquelet. Kellyman using all the track that he can to defend from Sebula, and Sebula's up. He has to be frustrated right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Fought so hard to get past Kellyman, and all of a sudden Jacquelet pipped them both into the race lead. And now, of course, all that battling has brought back also Sharp and Ayres. Also, we have a fantastic.
Oh! Once more, he's going into the wall. Lost it back in and went straight into the Armco barrier. Yeah, that's lost his bonnet, and he's gonna carefully rejoin the track. Thankfully, Indianapolis is such a wide track. Not a lot of cars going to be caught up in incidents, trash cars, but now that is a 5-car lead. This is what happened to Sebula. We're riding on board with him. I think he's clipped the curb just a little bit too much. That's just upset. Yep. Clipped the curb, upset rear end, almost went straight onto the golf course right there. And he's gone straight into the pits.
Ben Sharp jumping Kellyman. During the replay, we got the back end of this overtake. as Scott Malcolm again with an issue, unfortunately, and almost collecting his teammate Mikey Key. Lucky escape for Mikey after a tough race one, but for Scott Malcolm, you know, another mistake, uncharacteristic.
Halfway through the race, and all hell is breaking loose here at the Brickyard. Ben Sharp, fastest lap of these leaders, and he's closing in on Carl Jacqueline, wanting to take another podium and take away from the win streak that Carl Jacquelin's going for. Jacqueline won the first race. Ben Sharp finished third after some unfortunate penalties. Would have been challenging Jacqueline for the lead because he was leading the race until he got that slowdown penalty. And he's just been sitting in the back of that leading fight. So the two fastest guys are at the front right now. Carl Jacqueline and Ben Sharp. We're looking at David Ayres for a little bit too long. Carl Jacqueline leading by 7 tenths, but Ben Sharp closing in on him. Who's going to have the fastest car? Who's going to line up the overtake? With just lap 5 out of 8. Few laps remaining as we're going to look back at the... Oh, Kellyman's off. Kellyman's off. A little bit of risky rejoin. Almost coming into the side.
There's too much stuff going on. Honestly, I have no idea where to look. Let's keep to the front for a bit as we are approaching the final 3 laps of the race. But these guys... Austin are putting on such a show. I always say, even though he's not, iRacing should do something. We need split screen. I mean, because there is too much action to cover.
We'll try to implement that in future races. Hopefully, we can, because there is just so much action. Look at this. Maxwell and Kellerman side by side after that little bit of off-track action. But Maxwell just holding up on the inside, but here comes Benison right back on him, sitting on that back bumper, and he's going to try to make a run for P8 right there. But that's a cut track.
That is a cut track and a half, I'd
Maxwell
say.
sitting on the track. Do not sit on the track. Go down onto the inside. You can have a slowdown penalty.
Okay, back to the front.
If he doesn't.
Yeah, no, he's getting a slowdown, definitely. So back to the front now. And Jacqueline and Sharp, I think they broke away. Ayres is not been able to get past Kellyman, who is only gone to the podium, final podium position. And I think unless something crazy happens, which once again it is very possible, the fight for the win will be a matter between Carl Jacqueline and Ben Sharp.
Jacqueline and Sharp racing it out for first. Going into the infield right now, the tight right-hander chicane before the long left-hander. Momentum is all about that corner, and I believe Sharp got all the momentum and then some as he's lining up Jacqueline for that long back straight. 2-10 separate them. Here comes Ben Sharp riding on board in that roll. Who is Ben Sharp?
No!
He's turned him! He's turned Jacqueline, but Ben Sharp is waiting. That is a gentleman move right there. Not the most gentleman overtake attempt, but Ben Sharp is definitely going to wait for them. And now, in first is Charles Kellyman and David Ayres battling it out for the lead. And Kellyman must be thinking to himself, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, that's Christmas come early, but he needs 2 very, very good laps if he wants to convert this gift into a race win. Jacqueline is already, behind Ayres. Sharp is losing a lot of ground, almost getting into the clutches of his teammate Jess Banks. 2 laps to go.
2 laps remain here at the Brickyard. Kellerman leading by 7 tenths. David Ayres trying to sit in that slipstream and close down. Jacqueline trying to get back into the leading group, and I believe Ben Sharp's just going to stay in 4th and just feel bad about that. If he comes up to Jacqueline, he's not going to try to pass him again. Very unfortunate for Jacqueline and Ben Sharp right there. But Jacqueline dancing on the back end of David Ayres. David Ayres going a little bit wide outside the moto hairpin. These two are now racing for the top spot. This is the lead group of 3. All these guys going to be on the podium. David Ayres defending on the inside. Here comes Carl Jacqueline going to the outside. And he's going to swing it around in the braking zone. Car's back end switching around and he's in the grass. He comes back on smoothly, but that's going to kill all of his momentum right there. And Jacquelette's going to fall away from this group already 1 second behind of David Ayres. And David Ayres is way behind of Charles Kellyman. And that is great news if you're Kellyman and the Team Optical car. And we got 3 separate teams right here.
So I dare to use this little bit of a breather to go to the replay and see what happened. We were running on board, of course, with Sharp. And I think he knows that was his fault.
That was just a shot. He tried to dive it too shallow to the inside. There's space to dive, and it looked like Jacqueline left him the space, but Ben Sharp just didn't have enough speed to turn down even sharper. Not to make a pun on his name, but there was no way that move was going to be made. 2 laps remaining. Few cones gets murdered by David Ayres. Charles Kellyman leads by half a second, so David Ayres making up a lot of space. David Ayres might try something down the front straight going into turn 1.
Sale la Blanca, white flag in the air. Let's see who gets this one. Austin, it's been a fantastic race too, full of crazy moments.
David Ayres faster in that last lap. He has the fastest overall time compared to Charles Kellyman, but don't count out Carl Jacqueline. They've been having a tough race, but they're still in this battle as we look back at him. From David Ayres' cars, we enter the Moto hairpin for 1 last time in race 2. Who's going to have the better exit? We see Carl Jacqueline exit here. He's been so fast through here. David Ayres and Carl Jacqueline going down to the inside, almost front bumpers touching. I thought we were going to see a 2nd and 3rd place takeout right there. But David Ayres and Carl Jacqueline battle for 2nd. Main battle right here. Charles Kelvin is love to see this battle once again. Carl Jacqueline trying to go wide around the outside, but now he set it up. He didn't go wide enough on the apex, almost tapping cars. The momentum's absolutely killed. This is great news if you're Kellyman. David Ayres and Carl Jacqueline battling side by side. Great racing between these two. And I think their eyes are focusing on 2nd place because Kellyman is leading them out by a ton. A 2nd separates them. Here comes Jacqueline up on the inside. Almost gets contact with their... Try to send up the inside a la Ben Sharp. Speaking of Ben Sharp, he's gaining on them. But I think he made a truce with Jacqueline not to. Kellyman leading these two out, but the battle right now is the battle for 2nd. Utter chaos. Jacqueline not wanting to take no for an answer. He's still holding on to that inside line. David Ayres defending like a madman. 1 corner remains. We might see an Indy drag race for 2nd right here as Kellyman leads it out for 1 last time. David Ayres right behind, followed by Jacqueline. I'm going to keep on the Jacqueline commentary. Jacqueline's going to the inside. David Ayres, Jacqueline side by side. Kellyman crosses the yard and breaks right now and takes away. David Ayres takes 2nd place ahead of Carl Jacqueline by how much separate? 0.02 seconds.
Yes, look at that. It was absolutely crazy. As you can see, the gap between 2nd and 3rd, as we had a massive wreck in the pro race at the very last corner. And let's see where the other drivers are slotting. Scott Malcolm will finish 17th. Harry Rutland in 18th. And then Phil Regan will be able to finish this race after not finishing race 1. And poor Jaroslav Sebula will finish all the way in 20th place. Only one
races for him.
Yeah. Only one non-finisher. It's going to be Alan Toon. But Charles Kellyman, I mean, I know he got a little bit lucky, but he worked very, very hard to get this victory. And, you know, if you're not there to take advantage of this, you know, of these situations, you are not going to win. So he absolutely... And look at that, they are all celebrating with him. Trying to give him, you know, some NASCAR-style bumps. More or less. I think Mikey tried to wreck him there. You know, in a friendly way, of course. But good win for... Oh, see?
There it is.
I mean, I think this is going to be a very popular win. Charles Kellyman is a a very popular driver, and for Optical, Team Optical, of course, a great win, well deserved, and he's doing donuts in the gravel. There we go.
So he must be super pumped about that win, as all the cars are finishing out right now and despawning. We should get the grid up right now. And it's Charles Kellerman with, I want to say, one of the luckiest wins I ever seen it. I don't want to say it, but when push came to shove, Kellerman opportunistically had the win. He was up there with the guys all the time, but Charles Kellerman takes the win. David Ayers in second place, a well-deserved second place for him as well. He defended massively from the charging Carl Jacqueline, who takes his second podium today. 1 win, 1 third place. Can he get the Grand Slam and finish in P2, or take another win like Ben Sharp did in Bathurst? Ben Sharp, unfortunate for him. Mistakes been plaguing him. He's going to finish down in P4. They're followed by Jez Banks, Mikey Key, Edward May, Dale Bennison, Andy Maxwell, Max Boret, Christian Brown, Mick Berry, Mark Westwood, Ryan Walker, Futa Van Assen, John Moore, Scott Malcolm, Harry Wetland, Phil Riga, Yaroslav Sebla, who's been... I just want this guy to have a good race. Come on, Yaroslav. You got this. And Alan Teen finishing in 21st position. But first, before we go, after race 2, I think it's time to spin a wheel.
Yeah, and speaking of the reverse grid wheel, we're going to have 20 cars eligible, everyone except for Alan Toon. Charles Kellerman did something that is not very common, he converted the reverse grid pole into a win, which, something that doesn't happen very often, if you think about it. So let's see, will this be the night where another reverse pole will be, in victory lane come the end of the race? We shall see, let's roll it. It's going to be another small one. It's half of the cars eligible, of course. 10. So we are going to ignore Max Boret. Andy Maxwell gets pole position. Del Bennison, Edward May, Mikey Key, Jez Banks. This will be your top 5 for race 3. And once again, good chance for these quick drivers to get a good haul of points because, for a chaotic track, they have been very, very lucky with a couple of small reverses, I have to say.
All right. Well, after a wild race 2 with a rolling start, what's going to happen in race 3? I think we're all going to start Le Mans style, so expect to see a few post-race injuries with people trying to jump into the rigs. But any other craziness on the track is what we're going to be excited about. Hopefully you will stay here too, as we are going to take a short break for the Brickyard and come back for race 3.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome back to the BSR MX5 Cup here at the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's nighttime. Well, technically nighttime. It's very dark sky time. It's sunset, really, but the lights are going to be on. And here is your starting grid for Race 3. It's McElroy starting on top, followed by Eddie Maxwell, Dale Benison, Edward Ray, Mike Keep, Jez Banks, Ben Sharp, Carl Jacqueline, David Ayers, Charles Kellerman, Christian Brown, Mick Berry, Mark Westwood, Ryan G. Walker, Wouter von Essen, John Moore, Scott Malcolm, Harry Rutland, Phil Regan, and Yaroslav Sebla, with Alan 2 starting up at the rear in the 21st space. Now, the lights are on, and it's going to be another rolling start. No Le Mans style start like we were predicting, as Max Moray is going slow. The professional driver started on pole. He's going to be starting from the back. So Andy Maxwell will start on pole today.
You can see the new headlights that iRacing introduced with the latest build doing their job. They are certainly much more powerful than the old ones, as I think Max Boré will get like an end-of-line penalty from the admins, so he will start from the back, because otherwise, it's going to be a big penalty for him.
Well, he's a professional. All the professionals are starting with each other.
Yes, but if he doesn't get a penalty, end of line from the admins, everyone will get a penalty for overtaking, illegally before the green flag, because he's the pole sitter. Yes, that will be, the oval racer in me is always wary, when the pole sitter disappears or moves to the side. But you see, all the pro drivers are together, and Andy Maxwell will bring us to the green flag for the final. I'm sad to report, for the final time today, of course, because it's race 3. And it has been a very, very entertaining night. Race 2, Austin, was absolutely crazy. And the nighttime brings out even more craziness out of these drivers.
We'll see who turns into a werewolf, like some drivers get into a car. Who is going to grow the big ears and tail, and maybe grow some fangs and try some moves that they haven't made anytime. Carl Jacqueline, race 1 winner. Race 2, third place, starts in 7th. Right, well, right behind 6th place of Ben Sharp. I'm upping their positions because Max Sport is starting at the rear. So keep your eyes on them to be moving up the field and try to go for a Grand Slam podium. But those two are the guys to watch. They have a bit of traffic ahead of them, but Max Boré and Dale Bennison are getting ready to go. And here comes Andy Maxwell starting it up as the course pulls off. And here's the lights going green, and we're going racing for one final time here at race 3 under the lights in Indianapolis. And already Bennison gets the jump on Maxwell. Going into turn 1 side by side in the background of all the Fury Sport cars, but way around the outside, Andy Maxwell defending into that tight right-hander. There's a massive contact, and oh, that's Jez Banks, that's Mickey Berry also involved, and Ben Sharp was involved in there as well. Chaos at the start.
I mean,
I think
we got away with that in race 1 and race 2. Race 3 was the one where calamity struck, but even though we haven't lost a lot of cars there. Oh, look at the dive bomb! Oh no!
The dive bomb from Edward Maidstry. He lost it on the apex.
Oh, more crashing!
That brought
Mick
out
Berry.
chaos. Dale Bennison was involved. Edward May was involved. I think Carl Jacqueline might have been involved in that hit, but utter chaos in lap 1 in race 3. You said we're going to see the big one today. We just saw 2.
Yeah, the night is dark and full of terror, they used to say, no? And that is exactly what is happening. Look at this train of cars here. Be careful, guys. Everyone hard on the brakes. Some of these cars very wounded, or, you know, drivers that are just, you know, trying to gather their thoughts after avoiding cars left and right. And Mark Westwood is in 3rd place right now. Look behind him.
I can see why they're being a little bit cautious. Mark Westwood is a little bit pulling a vanishing act in front of him, so Carl Jacqueline is trying to find any way around him, but Mark Westwood defending it in all of his right, staying in the middle of the track. But as they go onto the front straight, murdering a few cones for the first time tonight, this is where Indianapolis gets very crazy with the slipstream. But Carl Jacqueline looking to get into 3rd place for the 3rd time today. Going for the outside move this time, going side by side. And I believe he's going to try to hold it around the outside going into turn 1. Got to keep the car balanced and not avoid a tank slapper right there. Giving all the room in the world going into that tight right-hander, and he made that move very easy. And look at Ben Sharp! Two cars in one corner heading into the Moto hairpin. What a move on the exit by Ben Sharp, and now he rejoins back up with Carl Jacqueline. But there's an utter mess of cars. I believe that's Sebla making a move on Scott Malcolm, or trying to make a move on Scott Malcolm as they're heading into the infield.
So we're going to have Jacqueline versus Sharp part 2.
Here goes Sebula.
Oh! Oh dear. Ayers and Westwood also coming to blows almost. And also Moore and Regan. Regan trying to get a good run after some bad luck in race 1 and race 2.
Yeah. Scott, Mark Westwood must have a problem with his car with engine power, because he's not able to go as fast as everyone else, as David Ayers just flies past him up on the inside. We saw Ben Sharp try to make that move, but oh, David Ayers goes wide, and Mark Westwood with the return overtake on David Ayers from that mistake. Now David Ayers going to try to go around the outside once more. Ooh, getting a little bit tight with each other. But they're side by side, 2 by 2. Around the outside goes Sebula, but Sebula on the inside. Malcolm went into the gravel, and Sebula gets that overtake for P6, and now he's on the back of David Ayers. As that is a giant cut track for Scott Malcolm. He's going to have a cut track penalty, but the 2 drivers that have been making the most headlines today, they're tandem formation, side by side. Ben Sharp and Carl Jacqueline racing down the front straight into the yard of bricks. Ben Sharp leading out Carl Jacqueline. Will these 2 come to blows when they get into the lead? Ben Sharp not having the best race. Carl Jacqueline going for that Grand Slam podium finishes. Sebla, late dive, trying to get a jump on Mark Westwood. All group these guys. Chaos caused by the despawning and respawning of Mark Westwood. On board with Sebla, trying to move around the outside or inside.
Look at that sunset now that it's going to turn to the right. Look at, I mean, part of that sunset. Absolutely. That is Bob Ross style. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Oh no,
Oh,
Sebla's
wow.
gone wide, but he keeps his car pointed
That same
straight.
corner, where in the previous race he went straight, you know, on the other wall, on the right side. He was almost collecting now the left-hand side wall, and this gives David Ayres a chance, which is not going to convert into an overtake. You know, smart driving there, but you know, the more time they are losing behind Westwood, and the more they are losing a chance at the victory. And if Ayres comes through, you know, and starts battling, they will lose even more time. So Sebula really desperate, I think, to make the move now.
Sebla is looking like he's going to have a run, but here comes David Ayres up on the inside of that corner. But it's, oh, Sebula sending it way out there into that corner. That's a cut track penalty.
Oh, in the wall.
Contact going into the wall, and David Ayres is in the wall. He's not going to be happy about that. Battle for the lead. Maxwell Kellyman up to blows, going into the first corner. Ben Sharp sitting in third. He's closing down on these two leaders. If they battle very hard going to this corner, we've seen Ben Sharp be extremely faster here, and he might make a move going up through here. But as they enter the Moto hairpin, Maxwell and Kellyman, your cars in the leading group. Now, smoothness around this corner is what matters the most. We've seen flicks from Edward May right where he was that upset the car, and we saw that cause that massive secondary crash that took out a few other cars.
Oh, Westwood!
Oh, Westwood. It looks like judge for the tire marks, it looks like he lost that on his own. Sebla might have been involved. Nope, this was all on his own. Okay, a little tap from Sebula right there, but he lost that on the inside. We saw Ever May do the exact same thing at the start, and that was almost a mirror image of the start crash. Look at that, Jack Gillette trying to close down on Ben Sharp and that opening lead pack and make it a four-way fight for the lead as we're almost halfway through this race here at the Brickyard.
Man, now, I mean, the first-time viewers will know why this track is such a staple in the BSR MX5 calendar. This is it. Always great racing all around. You know, it might not be the most popular track among road course special drivers, you know, road drivers, but the entertaining has been off the charts in what is usually a very, very entertaining championship on its own. But tonight we are having some fantastic stuff on the track. Ben Sharp officially a part, Austin, of this fight now.
He is looking to follow Kellyman into turn one, but he's going to stay back. Will he try to make up two positions going to this corner? Here comes Ben Sharp. He's going to try to make a move on Kellyman right here. He's got the inside, and he's going to make it up into P2. Defends it well from Kellyman, trying to rejoin it back, going to the Moto hairpin, and Ben Sharp now in the fight for the lead after jumping up into P2. Andy Maxwell is next on his list. The OSL H-Con Racing driver ahead of the Fury Sinsport Academy driver. Ben Sharp's been having not the best day. Mistake, penalties, crashes, been his utter downfall. And this is utter redemption mode up right here for Ben Sharp. Can he do it? Can he take the win in the last race?
He's always been missing the final overtake, the final move, you know. Always coming up short and making the mistake at that moment. Let's see now, because of course Kellyman knows by what happened in the previous race that he has, you know, no rush in trying to attack Sharp. He can wait, see what happens. Sharp certainly, like you said, he wants to have some redemption and will be desperate to make, you know, to redeem himself after the race 1 and race 2 performances.
He's caught up to Andy Maxwell so much right now. And Andy Maxwell is just going to try to defend as hard as he can for Ben Sharp. And Ben is going to have to use patience, which is the virtue, and just wait for the straighter. Right now, he's charged it way too early. He's almost came into contact. I think there might have been contact with there, but he does not have the run. And here comes Kellyman. Kellyman might charge back for second. Oh my goodness. Maxwell swooped down to the inside, carrying Ben Sharp with him. Ben Sharp almost came into Kellyman. Now Ben Sharp carrying around the outside of Kellyman as they're going to go 3 wide going into turn 1. Ben Sharp around the outside though. Back end kicking out. Doesn't tap it. He's recovering the car. That back end squirrely enough. Looking for 8 cords and everything. But Ben Sharp now in the lead of the final race here in Indianapolis. And now Carl Jacqueline going for his grand slam of a podium finish. Chasing down with Kellyman in the back of that 4-way fight for first.
Man, some fantastic racing tonight. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but that was some great racing on the front stretch and into turn 1. The 3-way fight for the lead, and you are right. Jacqueline now well and truly into this fight. This is not over at all. And Jaroslav Sebula, I say it, slowly and whispering, but he's looking good for a top 5. 15 places gained from the start of the race for the Polish driver.
Ben Sharp looking for redemption mode in the way, and Sebula also looking for a redemption mode finish. He's not have the best race, so him in the top 5 is going to be a good result for him. He's all by himself, doesn't have pressure in front, doesn't have pressure in back. I believe he's clear by 3 seconds and 5 seconds to a few people. As we look at the battle for the front of Sharp, Maxwell, Kellyman, and Jacqueline. I'm more interested in the battle for third places. Here goes Jacqueline on Kellyman. Right there, almost looked out to the inside, but we want to see this grand slam from Jacqueline as Ben Sharp is kind of leaving the field. Kellyman looking to make a move on Maxwell, and here comes Jacqueline as they fly down the front straight. Who's going to have the better speed? Is there going to be any contact between anyone? But Jacqueline has all the pace in the world coming out of that corner. But who's going to line up for the move into turn 1? Lap 7 out of 8. Taking it easy will provide a good profit between them. We saw Jacqueline trying to make a move around the outside.
Oh,
late zone. A little bit too ambitious to make the move on Kellyman, but I think that's a warning to Kellyman. He's tapped him. Kellyman gets turned. Jacqueline's waiting for him. Let him back in front of him in the moto hairpin. We saw that happen earlier on in the race between Kellyman and I think Sharp. Jacqueline was involved in a move just similar to that, but it was Edward May on this inside who got tapped. It was one of the Furious Sport Academy drivers who was chopped just like that. That Jacqueline is, and it's so easy to do it. It's so tight through there. I'd say the tightest point on this track, which usually would be like 1 car, but that's like 2 cars wide, but it's so easy to get any bit of contact through there.
See some front end damage to Jacquelette's car, and at the same time you see in some places of the track Maxwell can really close down on Sharp, especially on the backstretch, but then in the more twisty section of the track Sharp seems to be able to pull away. But if Maxwell can keep in his slipstream, with 1 lap left, more or less, he might have one more lunge, in one of the dive bomb areas, so to speak, of the racetrack.
That's the slipstream coming to effect, because Ben Sharp, we've seen him. He has the pace to lead a car around any track here, but the slipstream is what's keeping it back. And speaking of slipstream, Carl Jacqueline uses that slipstream to engage in the slingshot move as they're racing side by side for third place. Carl Jacqueline, white flag is out. Kellyman around the outside, Jacqueline on the inside. These two are where the battle is at for the lead. Jacqueline trying to grand slam podium finish this with all places, but Kellyman's not making it easy for Jacqueline, forcing Jacqueline to go around the outside. They're side by side heading to the moto hairpin. Keep it easy here, boys. They're giving each other all the room in the world. Jacqueline holding on to the inside, but he's not going to have the best exit. And here comes Kellyman around the outside for P3. They're still side by side heading in to turn 4. Now Jacquelette's got the inside line. Breaking in this zone is very tricky. We saw a lot of incidents happen when you break on the inside. That car gets upset so much, but Jacquelette sends it up the inside, cuts the curve just a little bit, and up into P3 he goes. Jacquelette in Grand Slam positions and entering the timing zone. Here comes Sebula. Now as they enter the backstretch, the slipstream will also be important here. Kellyman is going to use this to regain some time on Jacqueline and use this final turning section to gain up for that final podium spot. And I expect Jacqueline to be watching his mirror for that optical car on any attack on him. One more turn complex to go. Jacqueline trying to maximize momentum. Sebla closing in on this group, trying to get a better position than P5. Coming into the final quarter, Kellyman goes wide, up on the exit, and Jacqueline's going to steal it. And here comes Sebla. He's going to snap P4. But taking the win, it's redemption for Ben Sharp in race 3, taking the win. And now the battle for 4th right here is, oh my goodness, Sebla nabs it by 4 milliseconds.
Yes, for 1,000th of a second, fantastic stuff. I mean, I think Kellyman can be happy with himself, especially for race 2 and race 3. And this was
he put up a great battle.
Yeah,
just a small mistake at the end.
Yeah, fantastic fight. Great win from Ben Sharp. You know, he was in redemption mode, like you said, and he got it. Other drivers are coming home. We have Edward May. Very, very unlucky. Not his night, I have to say. As you see, when the cars are all alone, it's quite dark, as we can see from the blimp. It's almost scary, if you ask me. Harry Rutland in 17th and Alan Toon in 18th. Jess Banks will round up the proceeding in 19th. Mick Berry McKee did not finish the race, but all the cameras should be for our race leader. He is going to get a little bit of slow motion, you know, because why not? As we wait
Ben
for
Sharp
the final race result to come.
Yeah, waiting for the grid, but Ben Sharp absolutely deserved that win. Redemption mode, perfect run after 2 constant races of just, pure misery. He should be the happiest driver on the face of the earth right now, taking the win finally here in Indianapolis. And I think we're going to get him into the interview room there pretty soon, as that slow motion is making itself look extremely nice through here. But here are your results for race 3. It's Ben Sharp taking the win, followed by Andy Maxwell. Carl Jacqueline gets the Grand Slam 1, 2, 3 in podiums with a win in race 1. He finishes in P3, as that's all the results I got there. In P4, you also saw Sebla finally getting a good result right there. He's followed by Charles Kellyman, David Ayers, Scott Malcolm, Wouter Van Essen, Ryan Walker, John Moore, Phil Reagan, Max Moray, Christian Brown, Mark Westwood, Dale Bennison, Edward May, Harry Rutland, and Alan Toon. Followed by Jez Banks, Mick Berry, and Mikey Key. Those last 2 didn't really finish the race. 7 and 2 laps down. And what a crazy race 3 we've had. And I believe we should start with some interviews. And why not with the most consistent, the top driver of the day of Carl Jacqueline. Howdy, Carl. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Well, it's a Grand Slam of podium finishes. You got the win in the first race and the 2 third places, so you're getting pretty used up there on the podium spots.
Yeah, it was a difficult third race. The car got so badly damaged on the first lap. It was a wrestling match to keep it straight. It was horrible. I did a 55.9 in the warm up, and the best I did in the race was a 58.5.
Well, did that damage on lap 1 with that massive crash going into the infield? Did that have anything to do with it?
Yeah.
Was your car?
Yeah, a big hit on the left front.
And speaking of hits, that move Ben did on you at the end of the back straight. Any words about that, or was him giving the position back
I
all you needed?
I thought it was Sebastian Vettel actually. I just hope he doesn't make a habit of it, because he did it last week as well.
Yeah, he did in Silverstone as well, in the
Yeah,
exact same
at
corner,
that corner.
as well.
Yeah.
Well, you finished ahead of him in 2 out of the 3 races, so you
Yeah.
gained more points than he did. So I guess that's good.
No, I'm very happy with the overall results. But it could have been better, but no, very happy with that.
All right. Well, any last words? Anyone you want to shout out for?
Yeah, I'm actually a big shout out to Charles Kellyman, going through the tight corners at the beginning of the lap at the towards the end of the race 3, side by side with him. Great respect, brilliant driving. I was very impressed.
Yeah, we saw a few incidents heading in through the moto hairpin right there. That is always shown to be a big spot for incidents and collisions. But glad you two kept it safe. Well, thank you coming in, Marco. Anything you want to say?
Just one quick word about next week, because we are going to Charlotte Motor Speedway in the infield road course, a free track, so there will be great participation, I can imagine, and a different infield course compared to this one, you know? So what are your feelings about, and those damn chicanes, especially the one in the backstretch?
Well, I've had a couple of runs on that track. I had some good races in the week 13. This chicane at the back, if you absolutely nail it, it is so fast. It really is fast. You really don't want to be going in there side by side. It's quite a challenging circuit. I'm looking forward to that one.
Thank you very much, Carlo Giacolet. Congratulations once again on a fantastic race night. We shall
Thank
catch you next week then.
Yeah, it's all down to practice. That's all it's down to.
And that was Carl Giacolet, of course, for Year 1 Racing. Sadly, I think we have no other driver for interviews, but before we give you a roundup of the upcoming action on Apex Racing TV, we are very, very lucky to have a commentator with me in the booth from the United States. So we're moving from basically
From Indianapolis all the way to North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina, the birthplace, or the basically the heart of stock car racing, more or less, in the new and improved Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, what can you tell us about the track, Austin?
Well, Charlotte is a outstanding 1.5 mile course. It's a massive complex of great racing there, as the sky is getting utterly dark, so you're just gonna be stuck with my voice right now. But it's just a great speedway. The oval is very nice, but the infield course, a bit of up and down, slow sections, fast sections, but that is what makes that course much different than all the other cookie cutter ovals of its type. But expect some fast racing, expect some very competitive racing. I have a road course just like it here in Texas, a little bit bigger than the one in Charlotte, but it's almost the exact same layout. And from all the racing I've had there and on simulator and in real life, it's going to be one heck of a show for next week.
And I don't know if I think the road course. There's another great road course which I would love to have in iRacing. I think the oval is not being used anymore, but the road course at Texas World, to me, is crazy. I saw some races.
That is actually That is actually the road I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Texas World, I think the oval is not being used anymore, but the road course
They
is still
shut down
somewhat active, no?
circuit shut down. They shut down the circuit.
Ah, too bad. I saw some races with the Spec Racer Ford in real life, you know, on YouTube, on boards. Absolutely great layout. So, coming up next, of course, I think you can catch the back end of War GT on the iRacing Esports Network with Adam Bath and Sam Fitzpatrick. Later tonight, Rick Motek at 1 a.m. BST or midnight, quarter past midnight GMT. Tomorrow morning, 10:45 GMT, the IMSA SOF race for the Australia and Asia Pacific region. That is going to be, of course, with the Aussie crew. Later in the day, VRS GT and MX5 Pro Series. And then on Wednesday, nothing, unfortunately, because Sim Racers World is coming back in September, so you don't want to miss that. As my house is about to get hit by a massive thunderstorm, so better make it quick. On Thursday, BSRTC is back. On Friday, we are going to have the iRacing Le Mans Series. And then the weekend will continue on Saturday at 13 GMT with the Sim Racers Asia Formula 3 Series. And finally, on Sunday at 10:45 GMT, the Aussie Mixed and Fixed Development GT Series, which will go from Okayama, if I am not mistaken. So, starting back from September, we will be back. You know, every day of the week you will have us. For the next few weeks, only Wednesdays you will have no racing around here. So every night of the week, even in the mornings and in the afternoons, you will have something to watch on Apex Racing TV, as we are getting closer to the end of this particular broadcast. So I will leave it. I will leave you in the hands of Austin Knight to close the proceedings.
Lots of great racing here on Apex Racing TV. Thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you to the BSR Racing for some of the best racing I've seen this week and all the weeks coming up. So take a drink, sit back. I've been joined by the wonderful Marco Barbernera, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.